So for step 27, the hood, well, you can see here they're showing you to paint it the light sand, which I'm not going to because it's already molded in the light sand, and then it's going to be covered with the decals, so I'm not too worried about that. But the other piece to this is we have the decal that's got to go onto this, which I actually have also already put on. I just cut it out and put it on there. Looks pretty good, so I'm happy with that. But here's the cool thing, the machine gun. So we've got to put together the machine gun, which is relatively simple, but it's got a little spring as well. And I mean, how many Tamiya RC kits are there where you actually get to put together and attach a machine gun? I think that looks really, really cool. I don't know if I'm going to paint this. You know, I could maybe tweak it a bit, but I don't know enough about weapons to actually change anything on there, so I'm going to probably just leave it black for now. The only thing I might do is once those screws are on, I might paint it black just to cover them because I don't see the point in seeing the screws. Anyways, I'll set this up and we'll put this together. So to put this together, you can see that there's two halves of the machine gun, and obviously the handles need to be facing back. So it looks like that's going to sit there like that. And the screws are going to come in at this side. So let's do that. Let's put one in there. And they're not tapping screws, they're just regular screws, so don't over tighten because you could end up stripping something out. But I'll go in as far as I can here. And I can already tell that I'm at the end, so if I just keep turning, it's going to strip out. So you can see that with those screws there, I don't want to see that. You want this to be black. So I am going to go ahead and paint those black. I'll probably just do it off camera and be done with it. But this, you can see this attaches to here and it just shows you spinning it on. I guess you just twist. Oh yeah. And you just go to the end, I guess. But the thing is, it's on this spring so that if it rolls, it's not going to break this off. This is going to give it a bit of flexibility so that it will roll either way. If it, you know, that way if it rolls over, it's not going to bust off. It'll give. Very cool. So there's that. So technically that is the end of the step. I mean, it really is that quick. So you've got your gun, and we've got our hood, and we've got the decals on there. So those two pieces are pretty much complete. So what we're left with is the markings. So for step 28, the markings, well, you can see there's not that many decals that actually go on this kit, but they do require you to really play around with them and make sure that they're fitting and matching everywhere on the front and side. And you can see here it says apply stickers in numbered order, but it says attach hood to the chassis when applying stickers to align the camouflage pattern, which is true. Now, because it's a bit finicky and I just find that with the camera it's in the way, I've just gone ahead and done it. So here is the Fast Attack with all of the decals already installed, and I do like the way that has come out. Now obviously I screwed this in so that I could match this better, but we're gonna have to take that off again in order to work on the next step, which is attaching the machine gun. But for this part, it's interesting, the decals are blurry, so you have to be careful not to cut too much off around the edges because it kind of blends in. And you can see that in terms of, you know, decals that are left over, there's really not many, and they leave options. So, you know, on the picture it shows Whiskey Buggy here, and they do have Whiskey Buggy here, but I was surprised that the Fast Attack stickers actually are in white. It's okay. I prefer the black because you can see with these two, the black looks really, really good on top of the green and whatnot. Whereas the white, I don't think it looks quite as good. So it's too bad. I did decide to put the FAV on either side of the chassis. And I don't mind it, but I think it would have looked a lot better if it had been black. But that's okay. But as a whole, you know, once the decals are on, it really does change the overall look of the car. I think that looks pretty sweet. So that means that step 28 is done. So we'll move on to 29 and let's get this machine gun installed. So for step 29, attaching the hood. Well, we've got the 4 screws that we need to put in, but we also need to attach the machine gun to the hood as well. So here is the machine gun that we finished earlier. And I mentioned that I was probably going to paint the screws just so that they were hidden. And I decided I would go ahead and do that. So you can see the 2 screws, and they're kind of freshly painted. They're still drying. But that looks way better than these glaring silver heads on the screws. So that's done. So we need just this BC1 screw, which is for the machine gun, and then there are 4 of the BA3 screws, which we're going to use to attach the hood. So I'll set this up and we'll put it together. So first off, let's get this machine gun attached to the hood. So that is going to sit just like that. But on the back side, and maybe it's easier if I just use this, it's quite a big screw. Not seen one of those in a kit before, but we're going to put that in there. I want to see how that sits, because essentially what it's doing is it's just going into the spring, and like I said, it's going to help with making sure that this doesn't break off. So let's grab the screwdriver and see if we can get that on there. You can tell that it's going in, but it's also weird because obviously the spring wants to move. I guess that's it. I mean, it feels like it's in mostly all the way. Obviously going to need to twist it a bit so that I can get this to be as level as possible. There we go. That looks about right. So there's our machine gun on the hood. That's too cool. And that with the camo and everything, that definitely just looks awesome. Okay, so let's get the hood onto the car. Now the interesting thing is, because of the way that we have the driver figure, this wasn't that easy to do when I was even trying to get the decaling in, because as much as we screw this down, the driver figure tends to sit a little forward, so we need to make sure that we can kind of get this in there. And it's close now. If I put a screw into the hole and then pull back on the driver, there we go, I can get the screw into the proper spot. Now I'm not going to go all the way yet because I want to make sure that we get the screws in all of the other spots as well. There. Alright, let's make sure that the front 2 go on okay. Oops, they're not quite right, so let's see. What are we missing here? Oh, yep. Okay. So I'm just going to pull back a little bit too on that one, just so I can get the screw to actually sit in there. There we go. And I'll do the same thing with the other one. Make sure that that sits in the hole properly. Looks like that's got to be shifted as well. So this one is definitely a case where you need to try and get the screws sorted into the holes before you tighten anything down, because it does seem like that even if you've got 3 in, one end wants to shift. So I loosened everything back up, and now I'm tightening everything back down. Perfect. And then I'll shift the gun back a little bit, but that is just too cool. I love how that looks. That is awesome. And that camouflage, I mean, once you start putting that all on, it really does change the overall look of the car. I mean, you can see it's going to be a little bit bouncy, but it stays in place, and it doesn't matter. Even if it gets knocked, it's going to be fine. Very, very cool. So that is the hood placement. So we only have one last thing to do, which is to install the battery pack. So for step 30, installing the battery pack, well, you can see we put the battery into the bottom of the chassis, and then we have this cover that goes over top of it. But then you'll notice that we're back to what we built in the first, one of the first steps, where there was this piece here, where these pins are actually going to lock the cover, the battery cover door, onto the chassis, which is cool. And then we've got to install or connect the battery. So there are pins here. These are the 2 pins that we need. So I'll set it up and we'll put the battery cover on. So let's put this together as though we were going to put a fully charged battery into here. So you can see that because of this opening, we know that the battery is going to sit there. And if I do this the same way as in the instructions, I'm just going to turn this around. You'll notice this piece down here that we put on at the back side of the trailing arms. Well, this is going to sit inside the slot right there, pushes down. Notice that we've moved this out of the way. Well, you snap it back, and now it's over top. If we go back there, see, and you see there were the 2 little holes. Snap this back just like that. And now you take those pins, and we're going to take one of them. Let's see, just like this. We're going to take one of them and push, and grab the other one and push. And now those pins are standing out, well, basically they're hanging down, but they're clipped into that hole so that this can't be, or can't move, and it won't fall out. Very cool. So it would be a matter of just pulling these pins out and removing the battery door to take the battery out. But those are going to keep the battery secure, and you won't have to worry about the door popping out. Now if we turn this over, remember we had that placement, so that final thing that we have to do is connect it to the ESC. I can do that, and that is actually going to be nice and clean. The cables again are coming out of the box from the ESC and down to here, and away you go. So it actually doesn't look too bad. I mean, it'd be nice if this could be completely hidden, but with the Fav kit, I'm not sure that you could. I guess you could try and make something happen, but I think it actually doesn't look too bad. Most of it is hidden because I've got it in the box as opposed to the cable coming out from inside of here. So that looks pretty good. So that is it for the Fast Attack build. This just looked so awesome. Love how this has turned out. So if you've been building along, do let me know how your build has gone. I just love hearing the stories of how people are getting their kits finished. And this is just too cool. And I'll be very curious to know whether, you know, how you guys decided to do the ESC. I mean, obviously with mine, I decided to put it in the box, and I think it seems to have been a good choice because everything is out of the way. But again, this has been so much fun to put together. So please like, subscribe. More content is on the way. And until next time, we'll see you in another video.